5 sons, 5 small graves behind one house. No sickness, no wound, just silence. The first boy, 4 years old, went to bed laughing. In the morning, his body was cold, like something had already taken him hours before anyone noticed. The second, 5 years old, was running in the compound that same afternoon. By evening, he was gone. No cry, no struggle, just gone. The third died smiling. His mother said he was pointing at the ceiling, talking to someone nobody else could see. The fourth died 1 week before his 7th birthday. 1 week. And the fifth, the fifth broke the village. They threw a party. Drums, food, laughter. Finally, they said, the curse is over. That night, the boy went to sleep and never woke up. 5 sons. Same blood. Same father. Same fate. So the only surviving son, Emeka, ran. He ran across the ocean, ran to London, ran from the land that remembered his name. He laughed and said ancestors do not have passports. And for years, he was right. Until his own son turned 6. And 3 weeks ago, that boy looked at him and said, "Daddy, why did Uncle Ikena die so early?" Emeka froze. Because nobody had ever told that child that name. Make sure you watch till the very end, because the part that will shock you the most hasn't even happened yet. And when you're done, tell me which moment stayed with you the longest. Long before London lights and airport gates, before Emeka learned to speak with a foreign tongue, there was a village. Umuchi, a place where the earth held stories like secrets, where the wind did not just blow, it whispered. And in that village lived a man named Mosu. Mosu was not born wicked. He was born hungry. Hungry for land, hungry for respect, hungry for a life bigger than the one his father left behind. Every morning, he would stand at the edge of his small farm and watch other men harvest more than him. Their barns were full. Their wives wore coral beads. But his own roof leaked when rain came. So one night, when the moon was thin and the village slept, Nwoso walked into the forbidden forest, the place elders warned children never to go, the place where even hunters lowered their voices. At the center of that forest stood a shrine, old, covered in white chalk, marked with cowries and red cloth. And inside that shrine was a presence. Not a spirit you could see, but one you could feel. Heavy, watching, waiting. Mosu knelt. His hand shook, but his voice did not. "I want more," he said. The wind answered, not with words, but with understanding. And in that silence, a covenant was formed. His bloodline would rise. They would become rich, powerful, untouchable. But in return, the first son of every generation would not belong to them. He would be returned, not killed, not punished, returned, before his 7th birthday. Nwosu agreed, because at that moment, he did not have a son. And men make the boldest promises when the price is still far away. Years passed, and the promise worked. Land came, wealth came, respect came. People began to call Nwosu Odogmo, the Great One. Then his wife gave birth, A son, beautiful, strong, laughing like a child sent from heaven itself. And for the first time, Mosu was afraid, because now the death had a face. He stopped going to the shrine, stopped pouring libation, stopped speaking the names. Then, one day, he did the unthinkable. He gathered men, brought fire, and destroyed the shrine, burnt it, broke it, buried it. Then he stood on that ground and said, "From today, this ends." But the elders say, a debt does not end because the debtor closes his eyes. It waits, and it grows. Nwosu built his house directly on top of that buried shrine. He thought he had buried the past, but what he buried was watching, waiting, counting. And when his grandchildren were born, the land began to remember. And the first boy died. The compound fell silent. They said it was a strange sickness. They said it was bad luck. They buried the boy and moved on. But the land had already begun to count. The second came, strong, laughing, 5 years old, gone before sunset. The third spoke to shadows no one else could see. He smiled at the ceiling, then followed whatever called him. By the fourth, fear lived in every corner of the house. Mothers stopped sleeping. Fathers stopped speaking. But fear does not stop what is old. 1 week before his 7th birthday, the fourth boy joined the earth. And when the 5th was born, they refused to mourn before the time. They celebrated instead. Drums, food, laughter loud enough to challenge the unseen. That curse is over, they said. That night, the boy slept and did not wake up. 5 graves now stood behind Nwosu's house. 5. And in the shadow of all those, one child remained, watching, learning, remembering. Emeka, the only one left. And the night he turned into a man, he left Umuchi. But as he crossed the river, the wind whispered his name. Years later, far away from red earth and ancestral whispers, under cold grey skies, Emeka built a new life in London. Clean streets, electric lights, a world where spirits did not walk, or so he believed. He married Adaize, a woman with soft eyes and a quiet strength. And together they had a son, Chidi. Born in a hospital filled with beeping machines and white walls. No drums, no chants, no elders calling names. Just doctors and silence. And for 6 years, life was perfect. Chidi laughed easily, learned quickly, spoke English better than Igbo. And slowly, Emeka began to forget. Forget the graves, forget the fear, forget the promise his blood once made. Until 3 weeks before Chidi's 6th birthday, things changed. It started small. Chidi began waking up at night. Not crying, not scared, just standing. At the window, looking outside. One night, Adaize asked softly, "What are you looking at, my son?" Chidi pointed. "The men," he said. Adaize's throat tightened. "There are no men outside." Chidi shook his head slowly. "Yes, Mama, there are 5. 5. that number again. The next day at school, Chidi drew a picture. 5 small graves in a straight line. His teacher called it disturbing, but when she asked him why he drew it, he smiled. My uncles showed me. Uncles he had never met. Uncles nobody spoke about. Then came the question. One evening, as Emeka sat reading, Chidi walked up to him. "Daddy," Emeka looked up. "Yes? Is Ikenna my uncle?" The book slipped from his hand. His heart slammed against his chest. Because Ikenna was the second boy, the one who died at 5. That name had never been spoken in that house. Never. Emeka forced a laugh. "Where did you hear that name?" Chidi shrugged. "They told me." "Who?" Chidi looked toward the window and smiled. That night, at dinner, Chidi said something that broke the room. "I don't want a birthday party." Adaize frowned. "Why?" Chidi's voice dropped to a whisper. "The last boy who had a party." He paused, then looked directly at his father. "Did not wake up." The spoon fell from Adaize's hand, because that story, that exact story, had never been told, not in London, not anywhere near that child. Emeka felt something inside him crack, because at that moment, he knew he had not escaped anything. The ocean had not protected him. Distance had not saved him. The past had not forgotten him. It had simply waited. And now it had found his son. As Chidi slept, his chest rose, then stopped. Just like that. No struggle, no sound. "Adaize!" Emeka shouted, his voice breaking as he shook his son. Nothing. Chidi lay still. Too still. They rushed him to the hospital. Bright lights, running footsteps, machines beeping too fast. Doctors surrounded him, pressed, checked, monitored. Minutes felt like hours. Then finally, one doctor turned. There is nothing wrong with him. Nothing wrong. But Emeka knew. Everything was wrong. They brought Chidi back home that night. He slept again, as if nothing had happened. As if his body had not just gone silent. And then, his chest stopped. Again, for 43 seconds. Adaize covered her mouth to stop her scream. Emeka could not move. And then, the breath returned. Slow, deep, unnatural. Chidi's eyes remained closed, but his lips parted slightly. And he whispered one word. A name Emeka had buried with fear. A name no child in London should ever know. Ezuko. The next morning, Emeka did not argue. He sat in silence, watching his son breathe, counting every rise of his chest, like it could disappear at any moment. Adaize tried to stay strong, but fear had already entered her bones. Then, the phone rang. An old number. A number Emeka had not saved, but would recognize even in his sleep. He stared at it. His hand refused to move. It rang again, and again. Finally, he answered. "Hello?" A voice came through. Old, weak, but steady like the earth itself. "Emeka?" His chest tightened. Mama. Mama Ngozi did not greet him, did not ask about London, did not ask about his wife. She went straight to the truth. The child is speaking to them, isn't it? Silence. Emeka swallowed. Mama, do not lie. Her voice sharpened. I have buried 5 boys. I know the signs. The room felt smaller, colder. Listen to me, she continued. Distance does not break a covenant made in blood. Emeka clenched his jaw. You are in London, Mama. This is not... Do you think the river forgets its source because it flows far? Her words hit him like a slap. You think because you crossed water, you crossed destiny. Emeka said nothing. Your great-grandfather made a covenant. He broke it, he buried it, but he did not end it. Her voice dropped lower. The ones you call ancestors, they are not wicked. Then why did they kill them? Emeka snapped. Silence. Then, they were not killing them. The words landed heavy. They were calling what was promised. Emeka felt anger. I will not sacrifice my son. You already are, she shouted. The line went silent for a second. Then, she spoke again, calmer. But there is still time. Emeka's breath caught. You must come home. No. You must go to where the shrine was buried. I said no. If you do not... She paused. Her voice trembled for the first time. They will come for him early. The call ended. Just like that. Emeka stared at the phone. His mind raced. His heart refused to accept what his blood already knew. That night, Chidi slept again. And again, his breathing stopped. Longer this time. 45 seconds. Adaze screamed. They rushed him to the hospital. Machines, doctors, tests. Everything said the same thing. There is nothing wrong with your son. But Emeka knew. Everything was wrong. The next morning, without telling anyone, Emeka booked a flight. Back to Umuchi. Back to the land that remembers. Back to the place he swore he would never return. And as the plane lifted into the sky, thousands of miles away, Chidi sat up in bed, looked at the empty corner of the room, and whispered, He's coming. Then smiled. They are waiting. Umuchi had not changed. The same red earth, the same trees, the same silence that listened. But Emeka had changed, and the land knew it. The moment he stepped down, the air shifted, heavy, like something had been waiting. He did not go home. He went straight to the only man left who still understood. Dibia Okoro, old, half-blind, but seeing too much. Before Emeka spoke, Okoro laughed softly. I was wondering how long it would take. You know why I'm here? Okoro nodded. The child has started hearing them. Emeka's throat dried. Can it be stopped? Okoro leaned forward. Not stopped. Settled. Silence. What do they want? Not blood. Emeka frowned. Then what? Okoro's voice dropped. Acknowledgement. They were buried, not just in the ground, but in memory. Emeka swallowed hard. What must I do? Okoro pointed into the distance. Where your great-grandfather built his house, that is where they are waiting. When do I go? Okoro did not blink. Midnight. And when I get there? A long pause. Then you will dig. Emeka's hands tightened. And when I find it? Okoro leaned in. Close. Too close. His voice dropped into something deeper. Ancient. Whatever you see, whatever speaks, you must not run. Silence. Then he added, whatever you see, Emeka, you do not run. A man who runs from his ancestors dies tired. But a man who faces them can negotiate. That night, the moon hid its face. Even the wind refused to move. Emeka stood before the house, Norsu's house, old now, cracked, watching. He picked up the shovel. His hands trembled, but he dug. 1 strike, 2, 3, clang. He froze. Metal. He dropped to his knees, cleared the dirt, faster now, desperate. Then he saw it, an iron chest, buried deep, waiting, wrapped in dried herbs, bound with rope, 7 cowries tied across it, 5 dark, used, 2 clean, empty, waiting. Emeka's breath caught, because now he understood. 5 boys already taken, 2 more still old. 1 was Chidi. The last one had not even been born. The air went still, completely still. No wind, no sound. Then a voice. Not from the ground, not from the sky, from inside him. You came. Emeka's body locked. His chest tightened. His soul recognized it. Not anger, not rage, something worse. Waiting. You did not want the children. The voice was tired, old, like something forgotten too long. We wanted to be remembered. Your great-grandfather promised us memory, but gave us silence. Do you know what silence is to an ancestor? It is worse than death. It is as if we never existed. Emeka's hands shook. His legs screamed, "Run now. Run while you still can." But Okoro's voice echoed in his head. A man who runs dies tired. So he stayed. The chest started to move. Slowly. The rope tightened. Then loosened. The cowries rattled. 1 by 1 by 1. Then the lid creaked open. And what Emeka saw inside made him wish he had run.